Hi, this is Dr. Stephen Newhart with Science-Based Body, and this is the Economic Fitness Podcast channel. On this channel, we are going to provide you with ways to keep your body and mind in top peak physical condition in an environment of sedentary work environments. It is our perspective that blood flow is equal to cash flow. And if you cut off the blood flow, you cut off the cash flow. We hope you enjoy our information. Hi, thank you for tuning into the Economic Fitness Podcast. My name is Dr. Stephen Newhart, and we have a great guest today. We have Dr. Daniel Melville here with us. And we would just really like to find out what he's been doing over there. I like people to actually sort of give their own intro, if that's okay. I usually don't do people justice, which how could I? You know, it's actually impossible. So we'll shift in a second. I'd like to have Dr. Melville tell you about himself. But what I know about him is he's a phenomenal MD out in Southlake. He's an ER doctor for Texas Health Resources in Southlake. And he has also started his own practice, Melville Medicine, where he is doing things just a little bit differently, maybe even a lot differently, actually. And I like that. And as everybody knows who listens to this podcast, I love natural treatment. I believe in exercise as a cure for most things. I believe exercise is medicine. And then I'd also like to shift with Dr. Melville and talk about how he keeps himself in such great shape and how it actually helps him day to day in his practice and in his job and in his life. So, Dr. Melville, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit of your background.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the belief in not only our program, but in me as a person. And you're just kind of one of those guys that kind of resonates that best in people. So I appreciate you inviting me here.
Of course.
As you said, a physician. I graduated med school in 2004 from LSU. I'm an Air Force Academy grad before that, so I'm proud of that as well. But shifted into the medical world, married my med school sweetheart as well. She is Dr. Sonia Melville. She's a board certified ER doc, so I got to put the plug in for that as well.
Of course.
She and I completed residency in 2007. My background is in family medicine. I'm board certified family medicine. But I also did a fellowship in rural medicine. So I kind of wanted to be that one doc who did a little bit of everything. So I've got a unique background in the fact that I'm not just an outpatient clinic guy, but I've actually done a ton of internal medicine. I do a lot of community-based ER, did minor surgery, obstetrics, and things over the years. And then over that same time frame, since 2007, my career and my job has kind of morphed into what I've become now, which is kind of a hybrid guy. And I'm hybrid on a couple of different levels. I'm a community-based ER doc.
Mm-hmm.
I really, Texas Health Resources and Southlake have been great to my family and me. I'm a big part of that community and have been for nearly 9 years. So I get to serve the local ER there. But more importantly, my passion project is family medicine. I love vesting into families and people. Yeah. And that has been an evolution. So I'm a conventionally trained MD, so I can practice the way that most doctors would. But as you have seen over the past several years, probably a 7-year plus transition now, there's more to medicine. And that's where we're trying to crack the code into is how can we be the best versions of ourselves? Mm-hmm. And so what we did, my wife and I started Melville Medicine in 2019. And so we're nearing our 2-year mark. We've had great success with that. Thank you. Phenomenal. But what we try to do is practice under a model of what we call the sphere of wellness, which is an acronym of spiritual health, physical health, emotional, and relational health. All 4 pillars needing to be in proper synchronicity for somebody to actually be healthy. Sure. There's the physical side, which you know really well as a gym owner and through our mutual love of exercise and taking care of the body. That's also blood pressure, that's diabetes, cholesterol. Those are the type of things that most docs are really good at. And I feel like I can at least hang with some of those doctors that are out there that are phenomenal. I think what makes us different is we really focus on the individual. What makes that person tick? What is their purpose in life? If you can ever help somebody in that journey, that's one of the most rewarding avenues you can get in medicine. If you can really focus on emotional well-being, how do they feel about themselves? Mm-hmm. And then relational health and well-being, both in the home environment, the work environment. But if they can be better stewards to other people, serving other people and such, what you find is health just resonates from them. And that's what we really try to strive for at Melville Medicine. That's what makes us a little bit different. And that's what I do now.
So in a second, I'm going to ask you, let's say I was a patient and I came in.
Sure.
Take me through that. I love hearing about how close-knit you and your wife are. Mm-hmm. Same way for me. They're definitely our rock, I imagine,
Absolutely.
and our driving force for sure. So let's just say that I stepped in day one. What kind of diagnostics would you do on me? And and then let's just pretend, right? We'll just make up a theory
Yeah.
that this has occurred in my diagnostics. What would the
Yeah.
prescription be?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You got to be careful what you ask for with a nerd like myself. So I'm a very analytic driven guy. So if you ever get a chance to participate in our program, I'm very research based. I'm very evidence based. I push the envelope on science. I have a person that works with me, and we just focus on the science side. I'm a very genetic based physician. So what makes you different than your parents? What makes you different than me? What makes you different than the average person? We like to say in our program, we're an N of one. There's nobody else like us. And so if we can delve into what genetically I'm working with and actually get to know that, we can tell genetics off of the diet we should have, the percentage of aerobic to anaerobic exercise. Is fish oil good for us or bad for us? Is alcohol good for us or bad for us? So many variants. And so what we try to do is walk somebody of where they are. I love looking at trending of where they've been in the past. And then what we try to do is vision where we want them to be in the future.
Sure.
And a lot of those are numbers. Like I'm a very analytics guy. So just like you would with a vehicle or a business, you're analytically microanalyzing everything. We can tell everything from how good is your good cholesterol, not just the quantity, but the characteristics and the quality behind it. Inflammation is the root of all evil. So we look at inflammation. And then what we try to do is merge that into getting to know the person. So we spend hours with people. So that's where my wife is a very trauma ER based doctor. She wants to put a tube in you and get you out the door, heal you like really fast, stabilize. I spend the opposite. I'm hours with one person, sometimes inviting the family in so we can really see what makes that person tick. The stresses, how they sleep at night, why they choose to engage in the community or how they choose to engage in their own health, because all of that is very intimately tied to the program that we devise for them.
Sure.
And then from there, we try to revamp their diet. We try to encourage exercise. We try to encourage all these wellness factors and pillars. Supplements, I'm a big supplement guy. So I'm less med oriented and more supplement based, the things that are maybe outliers because they can't absorb it genetically or they're just not getting in their diet. But we try to patch all those gaps. And then we go forward with how do we monitor that. And I think that's our secret is we meet as a team every day. And if we haven't heard from a patient in about 2 weeks, we're reaching out to them to say, hey, how are you doing? And our compliance factor goes up there as well.
Of course. Do you do any monitoring, any patient monitoring? I know this is becoming a bigger thing.
Yeah, so that's something we've talked about in the past, which I really love. So as a gift for our patients as they join our program, we invite them to participate. Now they're always the boss. That's the key phrase at my practice is our patients are the boss. So we really are there to serve them. But they actually get a weight scale and a blood pressure scale that can actually synchronize to our program. So I can actually look at their daily weights and blood pressures, pulse rates and such.
Oh, that's great.
So if you see somebody kind of around Super Bowl timeframe that puts on a few pounds, I can kind of call them up. And so their accountability call may be, hey, what's going on here? And before the wheels come off the bus, what we're trying to do is just partner with them to just kind of guide or see what's going on. Sometimes it's not Super Bowl related and you start seeing that uptick. Yeah. You're saying what's going on stress wise, and you can actually help them navigate and just kind of be there for them as they're kind of navigating life. And that could be home life, work life, anything. So we try to monitor that.
I love how specific you make it. And, I don't know if I told you the time period, but for 17 years, I was a personal trainer and I was trying to, I wish I had some of the blood measures and the diagnostics that you had, because I could probably have gotten a lot more specific with what I was prescribing. It was more so just, hey, what are you putting in your mouth? And, kind of going forward. I had a question actually. You talked about inflammation. What mainly, if you could narrow it down to a few things amongst everybody, what is really causing inflammation?
Yeah, it's a $1 million question. It's actually great. I actually am certified in a program called the Blvd method, which is a very preventive heart attack and stroke model that really looks at inflammation to the nth detail. And they really have a cool book. It's actually called Beat the Heart Attack Gene by Dr. Brad Bale and Dr. Amy Doneen. And in that book, there's a schematic that I think really summarizes it. But it's basically a pictorial or of a tree that's on fire, and then the root causes of it.
Okay.
And in there, you actually see these offshoots, and it can really be anything. I mean, sleep is big. What's funny in that diagram, whether it was subconscious or whether it was a typo in their team, it doesn't matter. It resonates with me. But they have psychosocial issues. Stress is a huge factor.
Okay.
And we are burning both ends of the candle trying to keep up with whatever the rat race is that we've created for ourselves. Putting other people's agendas before learning self-care or self-love. Having that stress gradient that's high. So sleep efficiency, vitamin D deficiency, high cholesterol, insulin resistance is big with how we eat in the Americanized kind of standard or industrialized world, not just Americanized. But we're just making poorer and poorer food choices. We're not supplementing with nutrients and vitamins that we should be having. And so there's so many different avenues. And what we try to do in our first time working with somebody is try to start unroofing all those rocks and seeing what can transpire there. And you're not going to bat 1,000 on your first pass. You're going to start with some generalities. You're going to do the low-lying fruit, and then everybody has a little different tier for where their levels of inflammation are stemming from. But you can do a lot of detective work and just trial and error and see if you can figure that out over time. But I hope I answered that question adequately.
You did. I want to, cortisol was a big thing for a while. Now I believe in my industry that the body uses cortisol during bouts of intense exercise as a healing type of hormone, but it can also, if it's around too long, it can cause damage. It can cause detriments. So if you're gobbling up healthy cells and they begin to essentially bleed out at the cellular level, there we go. We've got inflammation. Now, something else, stress. You talked about stress. I want to touch on it for a second. Stress. I believe in the world of today, if it's not physical stress, which a lot of us are under a lot of psychological stress, it's almost as if it's made up. Maybe we you know what I mean? Well, our genetics are used to stressful environments where, a bear's attacking me or this or that. And now it's turned into, when my bank just called and all my funds are missing for some reason. And then it's this, when we make up this thing. So what do you recommend for people to kind of get back control of their mind and let them know that it's going to be okay, and maybe even drop inflammation in that
Absolutely. Well, that's the biggest factor that we really try to hit is inflammation from this almost self-imposed stress from a psychosocial perspective. One of my favorite quotes is Oscar Wilde said, "Everything in moderation to include moderation." I think what we've gotten out of is this context of balance. Some is acceptable. Too little is okay in some realms, but there is a sweet spot or an optimal zone for everybody, and everybody really should avoid these extremes. So too much is really bad, too little is bad. There is a just right zone for pretty much everything. Stress is one of those. Sure. So as we've talked about in the past, what's funny is I share with my family, who has really seen my involvement as a person over the years, from pre-Air Force to now as a health professional, as a dad. I've got my oldest daughter. I've got to put a plug in for her. She's in Texas A&M. But as a dad, and just the involvement of how we support them growing up. But I think my family has noticed the most improvements, because why I think I'm a unique doc is because I spent years trying to figure me out and trying to find my levels of balance. And if I could do that, then I'm like, if I can fix that guy, then I can help anybody and share
me
that
too.
story.
I'm with you on that one.
Right. But it's really about balance. So finding time to put on that armor every single day. You don't always have to be wired to actually be a glass half full kind of person. And sometimes I'm not, but I really do. When I hit that alarm clock, you say, I'm going to intentionally put forth the best effort that I can. And it just takes effort. They are trying to make time through the day to not only exercise, just get the blood pumping. Sometimes if you're at a work, station or cycle of just going for a 10-minute walk, just coming back. We also studied together, and we've kind of nerded out over the recent past over an oscillation platform, which we use in my program for my team and me to just kind of get the blood circulating a little bit, and just breaks up the monotony of staring at a computer or just doing the basic stuff. And then meditating. I'm a big meditation guy, and if people can break out of the realm of, oh, I don't need meditation, or that's for other people more complicated than me. But if we can just humble ourselves to actually say a little bit goes a long way, but 10 minutes of just reflective thinking of you, some deep breathing, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, I think is the single biggest game changer for me as a person, more than any other supplement, more than exercise, more than diet. And that's the one where we control whether we want to participate in that or not. But if we can learn that, it takes some pressure of the weight of the world off of you, and you can kind of refocus for the next few hours, on the right things in the most positive aspect.
I'm very aware that the technology that we have now is trying to grab, we're not thinking about ourselves anymore, which, we don't want people to associate that as selfishness, but you have to think about yourself. You have to think about what's going on in here. Is there an injury you need to pay attention to? Is your gut inflamed and you're not even thinking about it? You're just going on thinking about, oh, this food source is driving me this way, or, oh, I need to get on my social media and see what they're doing, and maybe that'll make me feel better. The meditation thing and teaching people how to do it, I think, is huge, because we just can get people to, like you said, recenter, think about what's going on in here. It's not being selfish. And how in the world are you ever going to take care of others if you can't take care of yourself?
That's right.
And so, especially if I guarantee you that you and I are the same in this fashion, every time I'm exercising, it's probably 30% for me. I know that it's for me. It's 70% for the other people in my life, because if I'm not here and here, I can't pick up children. I'm like, mine are a little bit smaller than yours, but I can't pick up children. I don't have a clear head. You get agitated easier. There's all these kinds of things. And I wish we could just bring it into everybody's life. And you touched on the oscillation platform or the vibration platform. And for those of you out there that aren't aware, I spent 3 years doing a dissertation on this device. I say device, it's actually a whole science, and the platform that I would tell people to use is not the only one that's out there. Of course, there's plenty of others. This one feels really good. And that's why
it's the Cadillac.
That's why I chose to use it. It's got the right frequency and amplitude, but it's so easy to use. Just as you said, for your staff, I would love it if we could move this into office buildings. Right across the street, we've got 40 stories of how much space, I don't know, and how many people occupying. If everybody had the opportunity to go down and get those steps, I mean, it's steps. You're firing muscles, you're moving blood, you're doing all this, and it's just, so I get really excited about that, as you know, and I'm glad that we partnered on the project, because, and just for everybody out there, why not spread this information? Dr. Melville and I we're going to do research with the University of Texas at Arlington to figure out what's actually going on. We've partnered with a Dr. Brado, who's got great blood measures, cytokines and biomarkers, and we're just going to look in to see what's actually going on. Is it bone density? What's happening to the muscle? What's happening to the muscle turnover? Maybe even look at cortisol, see what's going on in there as you do this. But we know that it just feels good,
and put a plug towards it of other health benefits, like I've seen with my own team, is I'm big about my team taking breaks to actually just refresh their minds. And what you're going to find is there's a return on that investment. So my challenge to business owners, I deal with a fairly elite, high drive, type A personality in my patient population. That's actually what I feel like I'm purposed to do. And I love those high energy people. But what you always have to do is, a lot of them, you have to find what makes them tick. They're very good business individuals. They're high producers. But how do you make their teams higher producing? If you can give them little strategies where you set it up in the corner and you say, for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, if you hit a stagnancy, instead of just spinning your wheels and losing productivity, take a deep breath, step away for 10 minutes, come back, and what you'll find is there's a return on that investment, and you find that your teams actually work more optimally. The healthier they are, the more that they can actually work for you. So sometimes we get into this kind of rat race mentality of, if we're not moving, you're not doing anything.
Right.
But actually, if you can take a little, pump the brakes and take a step back to kind of recharge, the productivity return on that investment is something that I would challenge people to kind of
I would.
Forth emotions.
And so I wrote an IRB document to actually test that.
Oh, wow.
So it's still sitting there. It's just partnering with a couple companies.
Yeah.
and then test. Those that want to say, okay, I'll take the challenge.
Yeah.
We'll put these in. We'll have our people step away for a little bit. We'll look at our finance, our financials, our economic health, and see what we're looking at there. But then if you're looking at your economic health, corporate down here where I'm located, corporate's always been a big thing. Keeping employees healthy and well has been a big thing. And this is just another way to do that.
Yeah.
But the employees are getting healthy and your bottom line is getting healthy. So it seems as if it's a win-win. I can think right now, if I sit and look at a computer for too long, kind of like writing the dissertation, that was unhealthy.
Yeah.
You had to
write
get
a passage for that degree that you did.
That's exactly right.
Right.
It was, let's be real. It was unhealthy to sit there. It had to get done, of course. And I kept my body in good physical condition, and I would take breaks to exercise, but sitting there and doing that for that long, it's just not the healthiest thing we can be doing. So taking that time away and then going back, okay, I'm what do you want to call it, re-energized or whatever, but I can do this again and again and again. But, so it's an interesting thought. But, anyways.
Think of how you get those creative juices going. If you can really tap into that and actually, instead of spinning your wheels, just go get those creative juices going, you can come back. And the thing is, just like we know with general health and wellness, we know the right answers. We've all participated in that. We were talking to a friend of ours earlier today in preparation for this. He feels great because he worked out last night, right? And that's so energizing for us and energizing for him. The key is to keep reminding yourself how you feel afterwards, because tomorrow when that call of, okay, I've got to go back to the gym, more times than not, we say no. But if we can remember that feel for how productive we were the next day or how we felt the next day, we just got to keep reminding each other. And so kind of forming a team, so coming into a group setting where you've got everybody reminding you of that is an accountability matrix, and that helps with that as well.
Oh,
so
that's really strong, actually, words and thoughts right there. And I love that. And that maybe that could be the summation for today is, just where to keep that focus. Go do it once and then really think deeply. Maybe the meditation should happen right after you exercise, at least for this purpose. We meditate right after we exercise, and then we realize how great it feels in here, and then keep that focus. I'm always trying to get people to get out there and exercise, and that's a phenomenal tip to focus on right there. Let's just internally realize how great you feel and focus on that the next time you say, well, I have to go tomorrow. I have to go the next day. I think that's actually what I do. Reality. Oh man,
which is why you've accomplished what you have at this age or season of your life as well. So
well,
proof's in the pudding.
I like to keep humble, but thank you for that. I mean, I think the commonality between you and I, Daniel, is that we both wake up every morning and we care about people. We want to help people. And I think that's what the driving factor is. It's what I said I wanted to do from age 16. What do you want to do? Well, I want to help people. I don't know what it was.
Right.
My dad reminds me of it all the time. You wanted to help people, right? Yes, that's what I'm here to do. That's what you're here to do. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for your friendship. You've become actually kind of a good friend.
Absolutely.
And if anybody ever wants to join us on Zoom on 5:45 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, we're there training on our vibration platforms to get our day started. And I love doing that with you as well. So, but thank you for your time. And
absolutely. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, you bet. Everybody, thank you for listening today, and we'll wrap it up here. And we hope to see you again, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.